Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh. From grief to purpose, yeah, I walk it out. Tears on my pillow, but I never tapped out. It's okay to hurt, it's okay to grieve. Just don't build a home in what you had to leave. From grief to purpose, now I see it clear. What tried to break me just redirected me here.
Starting over in my 40s is wild. Okay, so y'all come on in. Come on, get a little bit closer. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, so let's just talk about it. So starting over in my 40s is wild. Like, it is wild. I mean, it's not impossible. It is not wrong. It's just a little different. It's a little different than starting over in your 20s and in your 30s. Okay. So today I want to talk about just the positives, the negatives of starting over in your 40s, and then share like what I personally experienced in my transition, this life, these seasons and shifts and transitions. And let's talk about it. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So first, let's start with the positives. Okay, we always want to start up when when we are thinking on transitions and we're, going through life. Let's talk about the positives first, because there are some positives to starting over in your 40s, right? So, for instance, number one, right? You actually know yourself now. Okay, like a girl is in her 40s. I'm in my 40s and fine, okay? And fine. But you know yourself more now, okay? You know a bit more of who you are, what you want to do in life, where you're, ultimately see yourself going. You know you, your likes, your dislikes, and what have you. Okay, you done lived a little bit of life. You lived a little bit of life. So let's pat ourselves on the back for that one. Number two, you're more intentional with your time and with your energy. Okay. It's just some things that we don't do no more. It's just some things that your girl ain't doing. Okay. I'm just not doing it anymore. Number three, you're less likely to tolerate the nonsense. This, I think, goes along with my time and my energy. Okay. Like you just not with it no more. Like you used to, back in your 20s, you used to like tolerate some stuff. But now it's like, yeah, we not, no. Number four, we bring so much life experience to the table, not just potential, but actual life lived experience. Okay, so let's not discount that. Another pat yourself on the back. Number six, what's this? Number six, right? No, what? We on number five. Number five, excuse me. We are clearer about what we don't want. Okay. We're so clear in this season in our 40s of what I want and what I don't want. Like, it's not even funny. Okay. So, those are some positives. Like, those are the upside of starting over in your 40s, right? Is that like you're not guessing about too many things anymore. Like, you're not like trying to figure it out, like on so many things, right? You're a little bit more sure of yourself. You don't tolerate as much as you used to. You're a little bit more just clear, right? You're going to go through some stuff, right? You're still going to go through some very lived experiences, but you've lived enough, so much life. Like, we've lived enough life to know what works for us and what absolutely does not. And we're not afraid to say, yeah, that don't work for me, or I'm not doing that. Okay. So those are some of the positives. Now let's chat about some of the negatives. If you want to call it negative, we're going to term it for this episode. Some of the negatives. Okay. There's positives and negatives to everything. So some of the negatives of starting over in our 40s, at least, I'm going to speak for myself. But if you resonate with this, if you can relate, leave it in the comments. So, number one might be fear of starting from scratch, like feeling like I got to start from scratch, like I'm starting all over. again, like it might be some fear, even some fear to get started on something completely different. Number two, financial pressure may feel heavier, okay? Especially if you took a sudden shift, okay? And you might have some, savings, you might have some things stored up, but who knows how long this savings is going to last until your next turnabouts of career opportunities. That's a whole nother conversation and episode. Number three, identity shifts sometimes occur, right? The who am I without that specific role in which you used to work in, right? Or where you were, you know, um, prior to. It could have been anything, that role, right? Maybe it was a marriage that you just ended. A divorce just happened. A relationship just ended. A business just closed down. You just lost your job, or you just retired from a job. So sometimes that identity shift occurs, especially when there's still more life in you. On to the next. Okay, what's next? What do I do next? All right. Number four, age related doubt or external bias. Okay, like I'm 40. What does that look like now? Like, what does being 40 plus look like now? Like, in my 40s, can I do that? Or I'm in my 40s. And it really relates, honestly, to the type of person that you are. Me, and I can only speak for myself, I am 46 and fine, energetic, motivated. Do I have my discouraging times? Absolutely, like everybody. But I'm just like on some other stuff. Okay. So I bring more of the positives to my journey than the negatives. And then plus, like your 40 related bias, I hope you don't have that, but pull from the positives because you bring so much to the table, friend. Okay. So much lived experience, life experience to the table. People should be knocking you down, like chasing you down, like for the experience that you bring to the table, the wisdom that you bring to the table. Like, don't second guess yourself. Don't doubt yourself because of your age. Moving on. Number five, emotional fatigue. You're tired. Okay. I mean, it happens. I mean, emotional fatigue doesn't just, account to our age in our 40s. Like I said, I'm highly energized. I've always been a very energetic person. But sometimes when you're going through this transition, that's where even more of the emotional fatigue can come through and just being tired. Like, you got to check that. Is it natural or is it spiritual? Or is it because I'm going through all of this stuff? Like, I just shifted. This transition has just occurred and I'm finding myself thinking, doing, being, in so many mental areas of the what ifs, or what's going to occur, what's going to go on, what's happening in this shift, that you're unsure of yourself or whatever, that it begins to become emotionally draining. So, and saying all that about the negatives, let's be honest, right? So starting over later in life can feel very heavy. It can feel, it's very real. That's where the heaviness comes in. But, the stakes feel higher, and it can feel like there's less room for trial and error. But let me reassure you, friend, if you are still living on this side of earth, oh, there's always room for trial and error. There is always room for trial and error. Starting something and then stopping it because it didn't work. It failed. Okay, let's try something else, right? There's always room to rediscover yourself, trying to figure out of just what it is that you want to do in this life. Again, because you're still here, you're still living. So it's okay to keep figuring it out. Me, I'm a very creative person. So outside of what I will do and will be doing career reflective side, right? I still have so many other things that I like and will be doing. Okay. So there's always room to just get out there and figure things out. Don't be afraid to start something new. If you fail, try again, get up and try again. So, am one that if there's life in you, then there's more in you to give and to put out there to this world. Okay. So live your life. Now, let me transition just a little bit. Um, and now let me tell you what I personally experienced. And I'll pull from my experience, right? I shared in the last episode, transition from the military in 2023 till to date, right? It's how long I've been out. So my positives on a positive, um, relatable aspect was, uh, so just freedom to explore a new direction, right? I'm leaving one career field and now I have this whole playing field in life that I get to discover. Okay. So that was one. There was an opportunity for me to be creative, for me to just explore a brand new direction. Number two, reconnection with purpose, outside of my rank and my title, right? Because, in any career field, right, as you stay within a certain career, you're growing, you're developing, you're, gaining experience, but you're also gaining those positional titles, that the military is rank, right? In any other structure. You're just gaining, the levels of supervisional roles. So, and with more responsibility, of course, comes all that stress and pressure and all that stuff. So after leaving that role, I didn't have to deal with that anymore either. So that's also an additional bonus positive that I thought of. So, but I get to, have the opportunity to reconnect now with myself. Like I'm no longer this individual in that career role. Now, what else can I do? Who else, am I or who am I now? What else is on the inside of me? So, number three, discovering interests that were always there. That was a part of like, discovery just a little bit more about me and those things that I didn't get a chance to tap into or I wanted to do, but I was just too busy, with in my previous career that I just didn't have the time to do it. Like some things I did like do creatively, but some things like the time is just not there because my focus and my dedication was to that job. All right. Number four, more alignment between values and work. What are the things that I value, outside of work? Do I get a chance to just differentiate from that now, taking more time and space to really split those things, especially into two, so that I can make sure that I am more focused and aligned and grounded in these areas separately, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. All right. Number five, was just realizing my skills actually transfer. Okay, like I said, I'm in my 40s, but we're not dead. Hello, like we bring so much to the table. I have so much life experience, and not just from previous, like, my time in service, but prior to that, again, because I came in at a later age, I think it was 31, 32, right? I shared. But before that, hello, obviously I had previous careers, okay? Like so many things that I did. I've worked in, banking. I've worked years as a cosmetologist. I've had, owned businesses. I was an entrepreneur. And so many different things that I did. All of that counts for my lived experiences, career experiences. I bring so much to the table. And now this is just another season that I get to discover more about who I am in this life transition, this next season of life, and what it is that I get the opportunity to do. Okay. So, for me, leaving the military opened up space to ask questions I didn't have time to ask before. And that was like internally for me, ask those questions. Okay, Manina, what are we doing? What do we want to do? And then also spiritually, okay, Lord, what are we doing? Like, what is it that you want me to do? Because I always got to check in. I got to check in with the supervisor of all supervisors, okay, the manager of all managers, the CEO of all CEOs, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Jesus Christ. But yeah, let me get off my soapbox. But yeah, I'm gonna check in, okay? Because sometimes it's not always about me, what I want to do, as much as I want it to be sometimes. It's not always about my plan and my agenda. Definitely got to check in. But yeah, some of the negatives, like real talk that, I experienced and was like unsure about because I was leaving one career at a very good pay level. Okay. At a good pay level. Okay. It was good. The money was like good. I wasn't a millionaire, but the money was good. But my experience also as far as negatives was one financial uncertainty, because of course, like, didn't have a job like right there waiting for me when I got out because my shift was very suddenly and unexpected. Two, was just that job search fatigue. Like it can be extremely exhausting, even though my resume was stacked. Okay. And it's still stacked. Okay. Your girl, I'm proud of myself. I got to pat myself on the back. But it was exhausting, like looking for a job. And I also experienced rejection, like employment rejection after rejection, after rejection, after rejection, after rejection, after rejection. I'm gonna save my rant for another episode. And then questioning, my fits, where do I belong then? Again, let me check in with the manager of all managers. Lord, obviously, I'm getting so many rejections. You obviously have a better plan for me. Hello. And then having to check in, you guys, finally, like I said, spiritually for that direction and then waiting for that response. Like, okay, Lord, do you hear me? Are you there? God, oh, okay. It was very real. The season was very real. But, so there was a season, where I had to stop asking myself what to do because clearly, that wasn't working. Like, and I just, again, started checking in spiritually. And once I started checking in with my Heavenly Father spiritually, because, his ways are better than our ways. That's when things started opening up, honestly. That's when the doors started opening up. That's when things started making sense. And I was like, oh, okay, got it. I obviously need to be going this direction. So that's what I started to do. And I started to make steps towards the direction that I'm in. Again, catch the last episode as to why I made my career pivot. Now, and when I was going through all that, friends, honestly, like what felt like rejection, when I say things became clear, it was like, oh, okay, what felt like rejection wasn't always rejection, right? Sometimes it was just God redirecting me so that He can, align me with my right assignment. So, yeah, just to leave a bit of encouragement, you all, just know that number one, being in our 40s and transitioning in our 40s is amazing. Absolutely amazing as far as like how I feel, where I am spiritually, emotionally. It's a beautiful thing. Like when you in your 40s plus, they say 50s hit different. And I'm looking forward to that. But 40s, it's something about being in your 40s. Like, yes, number one, like sometimes we just don't care. Like, I'm not doing that and not it's just different. But just know you're not too late, okay? If you're in a transition currently, a life, seasonal change, you just lost your job or what have you, right? Life is just life and divorce is happening. My baby child, she always want to be around me. I don't know if y'all can see her. Can you see my boo? Say hi. Say hi, mama. Say hi. Okay, anywho. All right. But you're not behind, okay? You're not starting empty, okay? You got all of this experience. Please remember that. And you bring wisdom. You bring so much wisdom and so much life experience to the table. So if you're in your 40s or beyond and you feel like you're starting over, you're not behind, you're informed. Okay? You are fully aware of yourself. Please come into that awareness and pull back on all of your life experience, okay? So yeah, if you're in a transition right now, I see you because I've been there. I've been there. several times over, and you're not crazy if you feel crazy, like, "What the heck is going on?" Sometimes it could be so much of a mental game, like mental fatigue is real. It could be so much going on mentally. Like it could be extremely draining. But you're not crazy, right? This season is wild. It is wild when you're transitioning and going through 50 million shifts, But again, check in, learn to check in spiritually is what I can recommend to you. Check in, with the Heavenly Father, with your Savior, and ask Him if you are a believer, person of faith. Ask the Lord, okay, Lord, what's next then? Because obviously you got a bigger plan than what I have planned or what I got going on. All right, you guys, listen, that was my chat. That was my rant. I hope you guys got something from it. And be sure, if you have not done so already, to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share it with our friends that are 40 and older. Okay, y'all? All right, you guys, I'll see you all next time in the next episode. Bye.
Yeah.